Begala made the smart observation earlier this week that Democrats shouldn't take the election for granted. He posits that foreign policy could end up being a very serious impediment for a number of reasons, virtually all having to do with Israel and oil prices. I agree that it's always smart to remember that events can take over the best-laid plans in politics, and that something major could happen overseas, especially in the Middle East, to turn things upside down. But whether or not you agree with Obama's foreign policy or not, I think most of us can agree that Begala's further comment is just bellicose claptrap. He writes, "Ultimately, the best foreign policy is the best politics. President Obama's foreign policy has been remarkably successful. Just ask 22 of the top 30 al-Qaeda leaders. Oh, wait, you can't. They're dead on Obama's orders. He's approved 239 Predator drone attacks in just 3 years. George W. Bush approved 44 in 8 years. The Wuss. As he promised in the 2008 campaign, Obama has ended America's combat mission in Iraq, which has been the most divisive issue in America, indeed the world. He's imposing tough sanctions on the terrorists in Tehran and has won what may be pivotal concessions from North Korea. He's helped lead on the European debt crisis and rebuilt America's battered global image." Okay, I guess there are Democrats out there who get off on this macho posturing, but it smacks of the same sort of primitive schoolyard taunting that we all said we hated during the Bush years. Celebrating assassinations, drone killings, and sanctions on innocent children, terrorists in Iran, is unseemly to say the least, and not just a little bit reminiscent of the way our purported enemies tend to behave. It breeds more of that shallow cruelty and vengeance that led Americans into the morass of Iraq in the first place. It's hard to see much daylight between the flag-waving chauvinism of the Bush administration and that chest-thumping screed. As for the particulars, I'll let Glenn Greenwald and other informed critics of the drone operations make the detailed case against them. For me, the idea that a president's foreign policy success is based upon how many remote killings he's approved is simply repulsive, particularly in the context of calling the previous president a wuss for failing to approve more of them. I'm glad there seems to be some movement on North Korea, although I understand a lot of kids had to starve to get there, so it's hardly something to celebrate. And there's no reason to believe that Obama led Europe on anything to do with the debt crisis. And it's too bad, really. By comparison, he's actually handled it better than they did, although that's small comfort to the masses of unemployed and foreclosed upon in this country. And as for Iraq, well, the administration tried mightily to extend combat operations and were rebuffed by the Iraqi government. I appreciate the fact that Begala is warning Democrats not to get too cocky because shit happens, but this is a very funny way of doing it. His macho attitude is exactly the kind of shit that makes things happen, bad things. Obama did successfully cool the rhetorical temperature when he came into office, which is probably his most important foreign policy achievement. So even if you disagree with my opinion of Obama's foreign policy and think that every last one of those initiatives Begala mentions were wonderful successes, I would hope that we can all agree that this frat boy machismo rhetorical style goes a long way toward building back the cowboy image that got us into these messes in the first place. Enough.